Big names sold and some very, very good players bought in. We've had a very busy January transfer window here with Leicester and a very busy last couple of months actually. We've got a hell of a lot to catch you up on in today's video. As well as that, we've got the final match of the Champions League first phase, so plenty to get into as always. So let's run the intro and get right into it. Hello everyone, Jake here, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel if you're new, but I guess if you're this many episodes into the series, you're probably not. But anyway, today we've got a hell of a lot to get into. As mentioned, we have got a match today against Borussia Gladbach in the Champions League, where if we win that, by the looks of things and the way that I think the Champions League works now, after what you guys have told me, we'll be in a very, very good position going into the second half of this season. We've also got a whole transfer window to catch you up on, deadline day that we're going to do in today's video, the Champions League draw that follows this match. And also I've got to fill you in on the last couple of months because it's been ages since you've last saw us in this Football Manager world. We've advanced many days, many updates to get on with. But before we get into all of that, if you guys could keep being absolute legends for me and smash that like button, I would massively appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Around 40% of you guys watching, the last time I checked at least, weren't subscribed even though you were this far into the series. So if you are someone who's been watching all the episodes and you haven't yet hit that button, I would really appreciate it if you did, as we try and make a big push for 25k subs by the end of FM23. Going to be very hard, but that's what we're pushing for. Drop a comment down below, I'll respond to every single one. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So, Leicester City, how are we doing? Well, you'll see we are actually on the 29th of January, right at the end of the January transfer window, and over halfway now into our season. And you last saw us a long time ago. But you'll see as I scroll up here that there's been a lot of greens. We've been in great form, and I think the last time you saw us was against Lazio and Manchester City, if I'm getting that right. I could be wrong, but that feels about right to me. Since then anyway, we've just been winning. That's Premier League wins, Cup wins, and Champions League wins, including our hardest Champions League match so far against Bayern Munich, where we won 5-2, in a very impressive performance. We drew 2-2 to Liverpool, but then kept winning. We then lost to Villa in the Premier League, who are doing surprisingly well this year. Lost to Chelsea once, but outside of that again, just wins. We drew to Man City at one point. We also drew to Arsenal and drew to Leeds, unfortunately, as well. That was a game that we should have won. But overall, we are doing fantastically well. And I think the best thing to start off with will be where we are in the Champions League, which, thanks to you guys, I now think I understand. So basically, the guys in these top 8, so the ones in the green spaces, they will auto-qualify for the knockout rounds, the round of 16, whereas everyone else, apparently 9th down to, 20 odd, are going to have to play each other to actually qualify for the round of 16. So it's like there's extra games this year. The fact that there's 8 group stage games, if you want to call it that, and we haven't even finished it by the end of January, for me just doesn't make sense as a Champions League format. It also feels like some teams are getting away with not having to play tough teams. We've played Bayern. Outside of them, our draws have been pretty easy, and I think that's kind of summed up as well by the fact that outside of us winning every single match, which is fantastic, Celtic, of all people, have done exactly the same. And I checked their fixtures. The hardest they had was one match against Juventus, which is tough, but like usually they'd be in a group with PSG, right? And Barcelona as well, or something like that. Us, Celtic and Leipzig being the best 3 teams in the Champions League goes to suggest to me that this first phase seems to favour the weaker teams. I don't know how the draws are made up. Maybe you just get like any random team from the pool, but it just feels a bit, like a bit too easy to get into a round of 16. But I'm not going to complain, and the win against Borussia Gladbach today will finish us in that top spot unless Celtic outperform us on goal difference, although I'm not sure whether that actually means anything, first and second. Maybe we get more prize money or something, I don't know. But anyway, we're looking very good for the Champions League, already qualified. We just want to make sure we get a win to finalise that. And also, in the Premier League, we're not doing too bad at all. At one point, for one game, we were top of the league. It's not stayed that way. However, we're only 5 points off the top, which is Liverpool, with a game in hand as well. So if we win that game in hand, all of a sudden it's very tight. But between us, City, United, there's so many teams in and around us. Villa have played the same games as us and are only 3 points behind. So they're also having a very good season, and we're very good when we played against them. Everton up there as well. Tottenham sinking down a little bit, but Norwich, Forest and Brighton are the worst teams this year. We are doing very, very well this season though. Our only issue maybe is we haven't got that 20 goal a season striker just yet. We've got plenty that are picking up 10 goals between them at this stage, and I'm sure one of them will end up getting 20. But this time last year, we did have a few people on 15 plus, but the goals have been a lot more spread out this time round. But based on how many views we get when we have a transfer window, I imagine most of you guys are here to see that. It seems like everyone turns up to watch these transfer windows. So let's show you what we did. And it started off with some disgruntlement in the squad, if you want to call it that. A couple of people basically saying, I no longer want to play for the club, I'm not getting enough game time, I want a new challenge. One of them was Soyuncu, who we managed to talk out of it, but two other players were ready to go, and we were kind of forced into letting them leave, but I wasn't too disappointed about either sale. So let's start off with the first one, and that was Luke Thomas. Now, the disappointing part of this is that he was a homegrown player from Leicester City, came out their academy, is apparently a decent Premier League player, and could have gone on to be very good. But as it's been in the last couple of years of FM, this guy just doesn't seem to develop, and despite supposedly being very consistent, he just doesn't play well at all. I mean, look at his performances for us. Not great, 6.63 across 8 matches. He decided he wanted to leave. Then on the first day of a transfer window, Leverkusen came in with £23.5 million. He's playing well for them by the looks of it. We did manage to replace him, but Luke Thomas, academy product, sad to see him go, but at the same time, not a huge loss for the side. Hudson-Odoi was another interesting one. It says here that he has the potential to be a 4.5-star player, but yet when he was at the club, the coaches were rating him at like 3.5-star maximum, and that was mainly because he was just not a great performer on the pitch. There's no other way of putting it. Again, it says he's consistent and a big game player. I don't believe any of that to be true. Hudson-Odoi was fine for us, but never amazing. We bought him for £22 million. He played most of the games as an inside forward on the attack duty and didn't score more than 5 goals in the league across the whole time he was with us. In about 50 matches, he scored 5 and racked up about 10 assists. It's not terrible. Some of them would have been off the bench as well. But again, he was another one where he wanted to play every single match. Shelderup was better. Arguably, even Eden Hazard was better this year. He was classed as a star player from when we originally bought him, so he wanted unlimited game time. Came to me, asked for that. I gave him as much game time as I could, and he still complained, said I broke the promise and wanted to leave. Thankfully, Napoli came in with a £40 million offer, and we let him go, which means we make a £20 million-ish profit, and we've reinvested that money, personally, I think, into a much better player. Now, we did have £50 million to spend still on top of that, and then the board came to us and said, look, we originally thought that you could qualify for the Champions League. We now think you could make a title challenge. If you agree to that, here's an extra 20 million. And I did just that. I think we could be on for a title challenge this year. Obviously, it puts more pressure on me in the job, but we had more money to spend and we bought in 2 very quality players in my eyes. The first one was our Luke Thomas replacement. We have signed Adrien Truffert, a French 23-year-old left-back from Rennes, where he'd been playing okay and then very well in the most recent season. Our scouts were raving about him. He looked very good. His attributes looked really good as well. A consistent player. We bought him in, young, with loads of room to grow. He cost us around £35 million. And then in his first game, he was absolute garbage. But we'll give him some time to settle in. I don't want to judge him too much just yet. But he is our Luke Thomas replacement. It'll be him and Tyrick Mitchell in that left-back spot. And both of them, whilst neither of them are like world-class superstars, Alphonso Davies level or anything like that, they're both still very good players and ones that I do think you could challenge for a Champions League with. Even though they might not have such a name to them, they are still some very good players. We've got him until 2029, and hopefully he can kick on a little bit as time goes on. And our replacement for Callum Hudson-Odoi, for me, fits so much better into what we're trying to do with the inside forward on the attack duty. It's Pedro Goncalves, who, if you recognise his name, it's because he played for Wolves for a couple of years but didn't really appear at all. But anyway, currently in this Football Manager world, he's been bagging goals and playing superb for Sporting Lisbon, Sporting CP, whatever you want to call them, out in Portugal. Great finishing, great attributes all around, and there's no flaws on this guy. Extremely consistent as well, performing very well for us in the 2 games that we've used him in. He's scored both times, one as a striker, one as the inside forward with a 7.3 average match rating. Unfortunately, you won't see any of those new signings today because of the way the Champions League falls, these 2 matches that we've had recently during the transfer window. We can't register any players we've signed yet, which is another big flaw of the Champions League being the way it is. But either way, this guy is hopefully going to be a big player for us, competing with Shelderup in that inside forward role on the left-hand side. But we didn't stop there. We did manage to sign a couple of pre-contract agreements, so let me quickly show you them, just in case we do go into a 4th season. If we don't win the Champions League this year, we'll be seeing Maxime Lacroix making his way over to the King Power Stadium, a 4-star player, very consistent and ready to adapt to a new country, a phenomenal signing who was a huge part of our Wolfsburg save the other year. When I saw he was available on a free and Soyuncu was starting to complain about game time and wanting to potentially leave in the future, I thought he's a good replacement, and I think next summer we'll probably let Soyuncu go and let Lacroix come into the side. But in general, I think so far it's been a very good season, both in terms of transfer business and also where the club's going as a whole. I mean, we're still in the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup I didn't even mention. We're in the final yet again for the 3rd year in a row. We lost it the last 2 times to Man United. This time it will be a Chelsea final, who beat us last time in the league. However, they are quite close to us in the league, so it might be a pretty close, intense match, but hopefully we can finally win some silverware with Leicester here, despite being teased. I mean, 2 Carabao Cups, 1 Champions League final, missing both of them. I'd really like to win it this year. Still in the FA Cup as mentioned, Champions League we're flying, and we're very much involved in the title race in the Premier League currently, so I really can't complain about the way things are going. We've also been told there is a very good player coming through in our youth intake. I mean, it says good youth intake, but it says there's a wing-back who is very highly rated, which to me means that we've got a really good player coming through. He's apparently a wing-back on the left, which, I mean, we're going to have to retrain him, but still, I'm pretty optimistic about this, and hopefully he'll actually be a good player and not one of those duds where it tells you they're going to be good and then they end up being crap. Hopefully we won't get any of that. But with that being said, I think it's time to get into this game today. Eden Hazard's retiring as well, just as some extra news. But if we play him in one more Premier League match, his contract will be extended another year. Does that mean that he won't retire anymore? I don't know. But the 34-year-old has been a bit part player for us this year, not done too badly when called upon off the bench, so fair play to him, but he will have to start today because we're missing a few players. I mean, injuries have taken a few people out. The unregistered signings we've made can't compete until the next round of the Champions League, and then we've got a few people off on international duty and a couple of key players like Daka coming back tired, Calvert-Lewin tired, Gvardiol tired, and it means our team for this match is going to be Bayandir in goal, which is fine, Marai, Silva, Sotalo and Mitchell, which is fine, Berg and Dewsbury Hall, that's okay in the midfield, and then going forward is where it starts to weaken a little bit. Maddison on the right, Hazard on the left, Berardi as the pressing forward, and then Victor Roque as the advanced forward, who is really starting to come into his own now in the Leicester shirt. I was complaining about him a little bit at the start, but he's now started to score a few more. Doesn't let us down as much when we start him, and for me, I think it is going to work out with him. I think eventually we'll be very happy that we signed him, and then after this match, we'll go into deadline day like I mentioned, and the Champions League draw is also on the same day, so I figured I'd keep you guys around for that. Chances are nothing's going to happen in deadline day, and the draw, it's only round of 16, so it probably won't be very exciting, but I thought we should show it anyway. Deadline day, I've got no transfers that I'm expecting to make. The only thing that might happen is currently Matteo Marai has had a few bids from Leipzig. If they keep upping the bids, we'll see what happens there. And Bayandir has some supposed interest from Villarreal, but I can't see them paying anything near the valuation that I would expect for a player of his calibre. But anyway, it's Gladbach today, who we haven't spoke about too much here, but they're currently sitting 10th in the Bundesliga. You would hope the team we've got, we could win this one. I'm surprised they're even in the Champions League, but they are. We're going to play them, and we're hopefully going to come out with a win here. But whether that'll be the case, I don't know with a rotated side. But I'd love to get a win and just a good performance because even though we have been in very good form, our last few games haven't been as strong. So I'd like to really put out a statement win here. But here comes Poulsen coming forward. It's a good save from Marai, and Silva manages to clear it away. I'm pretty sure I just said good save from Marai. I did mean Bayandir. We're not playing Marai in goal. I might be tactically inept, but not that bad. Is that Jurrien Timber playing for them? Quinton Timber. That's his brother, is it? Okay, I didn't even realise that Jurrien Timber had a brother. But anyway, 30 minutes in, we're not looking great, to be honest. I mean, I'd like to show a little bit more here. Leipzig, I say, Gladbach do seem to have a few decent players, and they have ended up scoring with Yusuf Poulsen. It was a shot that hit the post, and it came back out to him, and he was able to tap it in. Supposedly, Dewsbury Hall was the one who made the error here. Obviously, based on what we saw earlier, it doesn't seem like it's going to matter too much if we don't get the win here. But I still do want to get the win. I don't want us just to get battered here on the road in Germany. I'd like us to show something about us and just keep this winning record up in the Champions League, because then everyone will fear us. But I do understand it will be tough with this rotated side. I mean, Vitor Roque is probably our best threat in the attack, and that's not saying much But here is Hazard, he's still got something in him, and he does find Vitor Roque, who shuts me up with anything I've said about him and tucks it away. I've told you he's been playing well, just whether he's like a main man in a front four, I'm not too sure yet, but he's managed to bag that. It was great play from Hazard, to be fair to him, to win it back and thread the ball through. That's my man Aiden. People complain when I signed him, but I think he works quite well. He does win the ball off of Japhet Tanganga of all people. He does hate a bit of Spurs, does Eden Hazard. Wins that, plays it through to Vitor Roque, who tucks it away on his left foot. He can finish on both, and that makes it 1-1. And despite a very poor performance based on statistics in the first half, we'll take it. I mean, we've had a lot of the ball. We just have not created any dangerous chances. So very good that we've tucked away our first one. And we could potentially have a second here. Or maybe it's going to be a goal for Mönchengladbach as the half comes to a close. But we do seem pretty comfortable in possession. And we found Dewsbury Hall. There's space for our players here. And it's Hazard yet again. Finds James Maddison. James Maddison will hopefully cut in on his left foot. He does. He pulls it back to Mateo Morai. Mateo Morai has it pinched off him. And it's going to be a counter-attack led by Manu Kone, a brilliant player for Borussia Mönchengladbach there. Finds Hoffman. Hoffman through to Poulsen. Poulsen with the shot. It does go in. For me, he looked a little bit offside. It is going to be VAR reviewed, but we'll see whether it actually was or not. Here we go. Goal review. VAR check. And it is awarded. Fantastic. It shows what I know. I thought he was offside there, to be fair. Here we go. Hoffman plays it. No, it was a good run. Fair play to him. Well timed. And we go into half-time 2-1 down, and probably deservedly so. I don't think we've been fantastic. What was that? Get your acts together and start playing football. That's what I've just done as a team talk. I don't think I did it that aggressive, but there you go. Second half kicks off, and it looks like we might actually have a highlight straight away. Hopefully it'll be for us, and that really aggressive team talk got to the players. They probably just looked at me and laughed, to be fair to them. And here is Poulsen again, a long shot right into the arms of Altay Bayındır. And Mönchengladbach start the second half the way they did the first, looking very, very dangerous on the attack. We're going to try and go forward. Again, we do lose out though. Morai comes in, sneaks the ball away, finds Maddison through to Vitor Roque. He's one-on-one. Vitor Roque yet again, and it's a brilliant save from Jan Sommer. Can't deny that at all. He made himself big, got a little touch on it, and just diverted it past the post. But Vitor Roque, Hazard, both of them doing pretty well so far. What was that, Berardi? I don't know. Offside, maybe? Who knows? Anyway, we're going to carry on. 48 minutes in, we've already had one chance in the second half, and we might have another one now. Clearly my team talk was way more effective than I made it sound. Eden Hazard, back to Sanderberg, Dewsbury Hall. We've got the ball very well here. Oh my word, Domenico Berardi. What has he done there? He's tried to hit someone in the stands. I don't know what he was trying to do, but we probably will make some changes soon, although our bench doesn't have too much talent on it right now. Maybe we'll just have to bring on a tired Calvert-Lewin or Patson Daka. What are you doing, Maddison? Nearly gave him a goal then if they'd ran onto that. But we do have the ball. We seem pretty comfortable with it. Clearly no urgency to try and win the game. We're just keeping our way of playing and hoping we can do something against them. And that's as far as my tactical knowledge goes. I'm just hoping we do something against them, and that's as much as I can do. But anyway, here's Berardi. Finds James Maddison. He plays another incisive pass through. Vitor Roque one-on-one yet again. This time, I wouldn't say it's a great save from Jan Sommer. I think that's poor from Vitor Roque, who's had a chance of a hat-trick so far. 3 times he's gone in behind one-on-one. 1 time he's managed to score. The other 2, not overly convincing, was it? But either way, 66 minutes in, it's time to make some changes. And the first one will be Domenico Berardi coming off for Patson Daka. Dewsbury Hall hasn't impressed me too much today, so we'll bring on Soumare. And Tyrek Mitchell is on a 6.2, so let's get James Justin out onto the pitch. If we want to go even more for it, let's take Vitor Roque off and bring on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And finally, we'll also take off Soutalo, who's not playing amazingly well, for Gvardiol, just because why not? And we've got some extra legs, and Soutalo has been injured. I say injured, he's been ill for a little bit, so we don't want to play him for a full 90 here. Let's demand a little bit more and see if we can cause some danger to their goal. And we do. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin, heads in the corner from Maddison, rewarding me for bringing him on. It's 2-2. We've looked much better in the second half, I've got to say. We seem to have nullified a bit of that Mönchengladbach threat and started to add something else to our attacking game. That has now made it 2-2. XG is slightly more even and possession still in our favour. And who knows what we might be able to do in the last 10 minutes here. I'd be fine with a draw, to be honest, but it looks like we will get another highlight. Hopefully it will end up with us, but it does start off with Mönchengladbach on the ball. But Maddison does well to win it back. Here's Soumare. We know he's got great passing range if he can find it, but it's Maddison again. Finds Daka, who rounds the goalkeeper. Why hasn't he scored? Sorry, why hasn't he scored? I literally just looked at... What? So, to explain how this works, My camera is in front of me and it covers a slight part of the screen. All I saw was the goalkeeper come out, Daka go past him, and then it not say a goal. So I'm going to quickly just lean to the side and watch this back because I have no idea why we are not winning. Hold on. Okay, right, I've found it. I've managed to find the highlight and we're all going to watch this together. Like I say, don't mind me, I'm just going to lean to the side. So at this point, it looks like we've got the ball. Yes, right, so Daka has now rounded the goalkeeper and he's through on goal. Okay, right, come on Daka, what are you going to do for me? Does he not get fouled there? He doesn't even shoot. He just takes a big touch and then just stops. I'm saying Jan Sommer's holding on to him. I have no clue what's happened there. I'll be honest with you all. I thought that was going to be a clear goal. I thought we'd won the game, but clearly not. It's now the 89th minute. Are we about to score, or is this just a highlight because I've played around with the settings a little bit and now it's just going to show everything? I don't know. Either way, Gladbach are bursting forward. Getting very close to the 90th minute now. Manu Kone's found Diop. Diop's through in behind. F off. Oh, come on. Tell me he's offside. We've just gone from having an open goal where a player's just decided not to kick the ball, and they've bloody scored. 3-2. I'm fuming here, guys. I can't lie. He wasn't offside then. No, I mean, he might have been, but he did pretty well, I've got to say. Good ball, good finish. Kone did well to drive up the field. No idea why no one closed him down, but that's annoyed me. Patson Daka, why did he not win that game for us then? He had the ball round the goalkeeper. The only thing I can think is his player model has got stuck on Jan Sommer. Ah, for God's sake. And we've lost now. We've been winning so much, and they bloody put us on camera and we lose. I don't like what I just saw from this team. I know it was a rotated side, but we could have won that in the second half. Patson Daka, don't understand what you've just done. We don't end up finishing top of our group. Leipzig do. But the top 8, so these are the people that have definitely qualified, who I imagine we now can't face in the round of 16. I guess we'd be first seeds as lot. It's Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Inter, Celtic, Leicester and Leipzig. Fair play to Gladbach. With those 3 points, it looks like they'll now go in to those knockout rounds of the Champions League. So maybe it meant a little more to them. But let's now get ahead up to that Champions League draw. I thought it was coming up soon. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it does look like I might have been wrong. There's nothing saying there's a Champions League draw coming up, unless it's disappeared. I could have swore I saw something on the calendar. But instead, we'll just see transfer deadline day. You can sit through it with me and see if anything happens. I tend just to skip through, and I'll let you guys know if there's any updates during it, or if it just fizzles out into nothingness. Okay, and I'll be honest with you, I could have made up that there was this really dramatic deadline day thing going on, but we just sat here, nothing happened, we didn't get any offers in really, and nothing went out. And as I've bloody said that, Real Madrid have came in for Dewsbury Hall. Thank you for doing that the second the deadline day closes, Real Madrid, because I would have even entertained that. I've got targets that I'm very happy to pick up if one of those midfielders was to leave, and I would very much have considered an offer from Real Madrid. If it's £40 million or more, I might still consider it. Let's have a look. It is actually a lot of money. It's 58 million. Why didn't they do this earlier? You had a whole transfer window, Real Madrid. No interest shown in him at all during that transfer window. Now they've came in and offered a really big chunk of money for a player who's never really performed too well for us. So here's what I would do with that money, just to let you guys know. I take that money, that would be £58 million, plus what we have in the transfer budget already of 36 million, and I would go for, where is he? My man, Kenneth Taylor, who we've been scouting for a long time, who I think would be a phenomenal pickup, but he's £86 million, and that would be his release clause. But I just can't accept this at this stage of the transfer window. Because I can't bring anyone in as a replacement, and we're trying to win a Champions League here, Real Madrid. What do you want me to do? Come in 10 minutes earlier and I really would have dealt with that. I probably would have accepted that, even with a couple of hours to go. But no, we're going to reject. Now Dewsbury Hall is going to be furious, I imagine. Is he okay with it? Please just be okay with it so we can move on. He is, right, we're fine. He doesn't get too annoyed with that. Let's register our squad, auto-select, blah, blah, blah. Squad registered, there we go, enough under-21s that we can get through. And that is job done. We're in February. You'll probably next see us now some point in the later stages of the Champions League, whether that's round of 16 or quarter-final, depending on who we get drawn against. Thank you all for watching. Disappointing the game didn't go our way, and the deadline day was a bit of a mess until that last minute there, but hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, smash the like button for me, subscribe for more. I'll see you in a couple of days, but most of all, have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.